What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here, helping you take your game to the next level. And in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to draft properly in MUT Draft. Now, if this is your first time checking out one of my videos and you want to improve your Madden game, make sure to hit the subscribe button below. Also hit the bell icon so that you join the notification squad and never miss an upload. So I've been getting a lot of requests to do MUT Draft tips. A lot of people are starting to play MUT Drafts again since they updated the draft pool a little while back. So since it's been requested a good bit, I figured why not. So in my opinion, and I think a lot of competitive players would agree, when you're playing MUT Draft, you want to focus on the trenches more than anything else, because it's really easy to run the ball in MUT Draft, and especially because a lot of people that you go up against aren't going to focus on the trenches. A lot of people are going to focus on the more flashy players, but if you focus on the trenches, meaning you get a pretty decent O-line, pretty decent defensive line, you're going to both be equipped to run the ball very easily. You're going to be equipped to contain the run because you have a good D-line, but also where the D-line helps you is in the pass game as well, because a lot of people don't focus on their offensive line in MUT Drafts. They kind of just gloss over it. And if you have a good defensive line, you're going to get crazy instant block sheds and get crazy pass rush. So that's the first thing. Focus on the trenches. Your running back doesn't even have to be great. But if you come across a really high trucking running back, you want to take him as well, just because the defenders in MUT Draft, no one's going to have an elite defense in MUT Draft. They're going to have a few players here and there, but if you've got a big trucking back, you're going to pretty much break every tackle in MUT Draft, or most tackles, just by trucking. So you want to get a trucking back if you can. You want to get a good O-line, or a decent O-line. You don't have to get every single member of the O-line, but you want to, when you see good O-line or good D-line, you want to take them. And then the only time you want to veer away from that, I mean, if you get like a really stud wide receiver, obviously take the stud wide receiver. If you get anybody in the secondary that has 91 zone, you want to take that guy just because it's going to give you an advantage in the pass game. And of course, if you want to get a decent quarterback for the situations where you have to throw, but when it's just like regular rounds, you want to focus on the trenches. So here in our first round, here is a good example. We have two offensive linemen and we have a defensive lineman. So here, in my opinion, I will go with the defensive lineman, because the defensive lineman is a little bit more of a help to me, because he can help in the run and in the pass game for me. And since Vernon does have pretty high block shed, pretty good high power moves, this is his MUT Hero card. He's definitely a card that we want to take. He's going to definitely give us a stud to start at our defensive line. So here, again, just what I was talking about, we got a big trucking running back, Marshawn Lynch. We got to take him because he's going to break so many tackles in MUT Drafts. It was a no-brainer. Now, here's an interesting pick, because we have a guy for the trenches, Darius, who has decent block shed. This one isn't, his block shed isn't super high for a defensive tackle, not this card, but he's still high for MUT Drafts. But we also have Luke Kuechly, who is he's a pretty studly running back. It would really be hard to pass him up. So in this case, I'm going to go Kuechly just because he's so high of a card. Whenever you get a card that's like 94 plus, it's kind of hard to veer away from that. So here we have an all secondary lineup, and all of them have the 91 zone threshold, which is very good. So this is just my opinion. In my opinion, for a mode like MUT Draft, here's another tip. This is just my opinion. Some people may feel differently, but you may end up in a situation where you don't have any other 91 zone guys pop up the rest of the way, or there's going to be times where maybe you have a 91 zone guy, but there's another person you need to take who's just that much better. So you can't bank on getting 3 or 4 guys in your secondary that have 91 zone. So you always want to go for the safety over the cornerback, because the safety is a little bit more versatile. He's going to play in a deep zone. He can play in a yellow zone. He can be in the box. He can be deep. You can move him around a little bit more, whereas a cornerback's just going to kind of have his side of the field, pretty much covered. But the safety is kind of going to be between the hashes as a whole. So I think if you're only guaranteed 191 zone guy, you go with the safety in that situation. Now, if it was just one cornerback there and then like 2 other random players, then yeah, you go with the cornerback. But if it's between a safety or a cornerback and it's your first pick, you want to go with the safety, because you just get a little bit more versatility out of that. Now, next go round, if we get a cornerback and a safety, then we might go cornerback because we already have a safety. So here, again, another round that's based in the trenches. We can go ahead and solidify our defensive line by picking one of these two guys, or we can get a very good run blocker at the offensive line. We're going to go with the right guard because we already have a really good defensive end, so let's keep it balanced and go, you know, on the offensive side. Now here we have a cornerback that doesn't have 91 zone, so in my opinion, I don't know that I'm going to take him here. We have two pretty decent wide receivers. And here's another tip. So if you're going to pick a wide receiver, you want to try to find guys that have 91 route running. It's not going to be as crucial as 91 zone is on defense. But right here, if it's between Thomas and between Thielen, I'm going to go with Thielen because he has that 91 route running. Or we can get a decent cornerback. He doesn't have 91 zone, though, so that's kind of what's keeping me away from him. So here, I'm going to actually go with Thielen. So we have our number one wide receiver because you want to at least have one decent wide receiving option. And here we are right back. We have a couple good options on offense. We have Ramsey, who is a really good cornerback, but again, this isn't a 91 zone version, so that is kind of rough. We could go ahead and get get Gronkowski here, which I think we're going to do because he gives us another good receiving option, but he's also a really great run blocking tight end, and he's a 95 overall. Like I said, when you get those 94 plus options, it's very hard to pass them up. So here we go again, all secondary members. None of these guys have 91 zone, which is unfortunate, but I'm going to go here with Lattimore because he is the fastest, so we're just going to take him. They were all pretty much evenly matched guys there. Now here again, now here's another one of those no-brainers. So I said focus on the trenches. We already have a good right end. Now we can have a great left end here. He's got 90 block shed, which is really good for MUT drafts. 95 power move. That's who we're going with. So both of our defensive ends are set now. So we need to at least just nail one defensive tackle, and we will be good. So here we have a pretty good round here of quarterbacks. Now when it comes to the quarterbacks, it really comes down to preference. Marino is going to be a little bit more accurate. Culpepper is going to give you a little bit more mobility, so we're going to go with Culpepper just for the mobility because his accuracy stats are still pretty good. Now, unfortunately, here we just got an all halfback round. We already drafted a halfback, so we don't actually need any of these guys, which is unfortunate. But let's see who we're going to go with. So they're all the same speed. They're all pretty evenly matched guys. I say here we'll just go with Bell, just because he's the highest ranked guy. So now we just have a 1-2 punch at running back. It's unfortunate because we didn't need it, but it is what it is. Here we have an all wide receiver round. We got two guys that have the 91 route running threshold in Landry and Hilton. I'm gonna go with Hilton because he's faster. So we actually have a really good passing offense here now. So we gotta hope to get some more offensive linemen because we've only been presented with 2 rounds that even had offensive linemen, and we only took 1. So here again, another offensive round. We don't need any tight ends, so we're just gonna go with Schuster because we already have Gronk. And see, again, they're giving us a lot of offense. They're not giving us a lot of guys in the trenches, and they're not giving us a lot of defensive players. So here we're gonna go with Quan Alexander just because, again, we don't need any other tight ends. So we do have at least 2 good linebackers. Quan Alexander we can use there, and here we go. We finally get some offensive linemen. In my opinion, I'm going to go with, well, we already have a right guard, so yeah, we definitely want to go with Alex Mack. It's always good to get a good center. A good center affects your whole offensive line, so that was a good pick there. We already have a right end, so we don't need Watt. We got a strong safety, and we got a free safety. Neither of them have 91 zones, so we're just going to go with Burnett because we already drafted a free safety. So we got a pretty decent secondary. Hopefully we can just get some more guys in the trenches, and we do here. So we can take a defensive tackle or a left guard. I'm thinking left guard here just because we have a good right guard. We have a good center. If we get this good left guard, that means that running up the middle should be pretty much solidified for us. We already have 2 good guys on the D-line. We don't have a good D-tackle, which does hurt, but I think the guard is the move here because now that solidifies us running up the middle pretty much. Here we get 2 defensive ends, 2 guys that we don't really need. But what I think we'll do here is we'll take the guy that has the highest block shed, which is going to be Chris Jones, and we'll actually just plug him in at defensive tackle because he's a very slow defensive end, 70 speed, but with 90 block shed, 90 power move, 90 tackle, we can plug him in at defensive tackle and have a really good defensive line there. So here, Mel Renfro is the obvious pick because he has the 91 zone threshold, and we do need another cornerback. So we have a pretty good secondary. We have 2 guys that have 91 zone, and then the other 2 guys that don't are still 2 very good players. Now, Again, we have another 91 zone here with Barber, but we already have 2 cornerbacks. We got Khalil Mack, who's more of a pass rusher. We don't need him. We could go with Singletary. We have 2 middle linebackers already, but we can move them around and have 3 good linebackers. But what I might just do here is go Barber, because we can play like a 3-4 or something of that nature, or a 4-3, and we still have our 4 guys in the secondary. I'm going to go with Singletary here just to solidify a 3rd linebacker. And here we go with the lineup. You see our offense was better than our defense because we did get a, we got more offensive guys in that draft. So let's go adjust the lineup here just to see how we can tweak this a little bit. So we didn't get any tackles, but that's okay because we're more concerned about running up the middle anyway. Stuff like inside zones, halfback dives, we can really take advantage of that. So we got 3 good guys up here that can push the pile for us. And we don't have any good tackles, but we do have a good blocking tight end. So if we need to block him to give us some extra support, that kind of negates having a bad right tackle. So the bad left tackle is really the only thing we have to worry about. Offensively, I mean, we're stacked. We kept getting good players. We got Hilton, we got Schuster, who's actually a good run blocker as well, so that can help us in the run block game. We have Bell. They got Lynch at halfback here, or at fullback, but we'll be using both of them at running back. We got Culpepper, which is a great quarterback, and we got Thielen, another good wide receiver. Go over to defense here, and you can see linebacking core is pretty solid. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to change out Kuechly for somebody else, and I'm going to put Kuechly actually at the left outside linebacker spot because that just makes most sense for me. And we do have a secure tackler in Singletary, I believe, which is good. So yeah, so great linebacking core. Pretty good D-line. If we run like a 3-4, I'm not sure what playbook I have to check, but either way, we have 2 great ends. These guys are going to do exactly what they need to do in MUT drafts. They're going to block shed in the pass game, and they're going to block shed pretty well in the run game. And then we have Chris Jones, who is an end, but we put him at defensive tackle because he has really good block shedding. So that's a really good line. We did what we wanted to do in the trenches. I would have liked to get a true defensive tackle or maybe another offensive tackle, but we got 3 really good offensive linemen, 3 really good defensive linemen, and aside from that, we still stacked up at other spots, so we're really not weak anywhere. Great linebacking core. The secondary, Amos has 91 zone. We have Burnett, who's a pretty good, strong safety, 92 overall. We have Lattimore, who doesn't have 91 zone, but he's very fast, and he's got good coverage ability. And then we have Renfro at the other cornerback, who's super fast and does have 91 zone, so that's really gonna be good for us there. And like I said, on offense, we have a great receiving core. We have 2 good running backs, good quarterback, good line, good tight end. So this is a very, very good team. I think we drafted a good team. And the upcoming video, I'm gonna actually do some gameplay with this team for you guys and edit that up for you. So those are my MUT draft tips. Like I said, you want to stick to the trenches. Definitely grab 91 zone guys when you can. Grab a decent quarterback when he presents itself. Grab at least 1 decent wide receiver. But mainly you want to focus on offensive line and defensive line because that's really what wins games in MUT draft. Only veer outside of that when it's, either you don't need that position or it's a must-have guy like a 91 zone or a stud wide receiver or a stud QB. And definitely try to get yourself a running back to construct because he's going to break the most tackles for you. So those are my MUT draft tips. Hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. If you did, as always, just drop a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.